November 15, 1979. Despite initial successes, the NATO offensive is hampered by unprepared supply lines. It is especially true for Sentag troops, whose convoys must cross the Thüringer Wald. Deploy your air and land forces to make sure that the convoys can drive through this valley. Those starships have a weaker armor than the M60A3, but they have a 20mm anti-aircraft autocannon and some guided missiles. Use the hills to get the best lines of fire. The AH-1E Cobra has enough mobility to strike anywhere along the road. Its rockets are able to destroy or stun light armored vehicles. The OH-58C Kiowa is your main recon unit. It will spot the enemy if you give it a clear line of sight. The M113A Cav is a slower ground recon vehicle. If we can hold Delta, this central position will allow us to control the valley and repel the enemy. Then we will have to keep all the outposts along the road and protect the convoy from enemy counterattacks. No matter your losses, the convoy must pass at any price.
What's up? This is Talisman, and we're back playing Wargame, European Escalation. This is Ambush Alley. Okay, so my initial troop deployment on this is, I'm just winging it. I was like, what if I just try and take all of these things in one quick push? So I throw just my first group of troops, I just send them to the very end of the road, and you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to beat this or not, so I'm just throwing out my troops, and we're going to see what happens. I just noticed that the objective for this mission is to take each one of these like little control unit things along the road within 20 minutes. I was like, I could drive to the other end of this road in 30 seconds. So why not just send a huge contingent of troops, just a big old troop column down to the other end of the map and see what happens. I have also a 5 or 6 paratroopers in those Huey helicopters, and I can just use those to fall back and pick up anything that I miss. If any other enemy forces kind of drop in over on the alley there, I can catch them if they take any of my control units. So I just go at it. I just cruise those guys all up there and just take it all. And they're not defending these things, so it's not like I have to push through any sort of resistance. And the thing is, with this map, your second objective after taking all these points is for a column of NPCs to drive through the route, through the valley here. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, those columns, the troops in that column, the NPCs, they have guns, they can shoot and defend themselves. So I don't necessarily really need to defend them a lot, as long as they just don't, you know, it doesn't get pinned down somewhere along the valley. I'm just going to cruise up to the other end and take all these control points and just let the NPCs start feeding through. And it works out pretty good here, as you're going to see. So some initial, you know, tanks rolling in, trying to hamper down our line. We're not waiting around to see what they can do. We are just cruising through. Get a few shots off. I've got my second force deployed here in the Delta kind of control unit here. I've got just a myriad of troops. A few. I brought up a few of the Hueys with paratroopers to catch if any of the control unit or any of these little points get taken, and then I can kind of deploy my tanks down in the valley here on the Delta point. Yeah, so cruising along, and you'll see I take the whole thing in like less than 2 minutes. So they just keep cruising through. I sent so many troops and so many tanks that it doesn't matter what. Yeah, it doesn't matter what hits us. So the next thing So I just kind of get the guys in the middle kind of organized. So I left half of the initial column. I leave them at that control point, and then I push them forward to the next conquest point. I guess it's called. Little command circle there. So, you know, just going totally against the strategy of, I don't know, what's some things he said in the mission intro. They, you know, use starships to cover both air and ground. Use Cobra helicopters to cover. I mean, I get into that a little bit, but the idea is I sped through this mission so fast that, yeah, see, there you go. I mean, it didn't even matter. I was able to take it in less than 4 minutes there. 4:30, I think it was. So now my thought was, if I just hurry and take this, suddenly now I'm going to have columns of troops moving up the road that can cover me. So this is a great example in an RTS where you don't need to use the whole, you know, mission clock. It gives you 30 minutes on the clock, but if you just hurry and achieve your objectives, trigger the next waves, in this case your units, you can overwhelm the enemy. They don't have time. I mean, it's taking time for them to move tanks and things into position. If they used a lot of helicopters, we might get in trouble, but they're moving tanks along their roads. It's taking them time. I'm already, you know, moving my NPCs up the road and kind of getting a handle on my mission objective of getting those 50 units through the valley. And it's another example of I don't necessarily need to hold or protect anything as far as a position. I don't need to hold any of these points for more points to get more troops. I can just you know, sit back and just defend almost effortlessly as these columns start moving up. And this is a good, interesting point. I mean, those troop columns are moving up along the line, and there's literally nothing attacking me. The NPC is totally out of position because we just moved so fast and so quick that they're not able to mobilize anything. Okay, so I've got both my Cobras up in the middle position here, and so I can just use those to strike out in anything I need to. Just kind of positioning some units around some of these control points, just in case we get any attacks along this position. Get those tanks up in the weeds along the ridges and sit back and watch the columns feed through. My initial playthrough this, I was surprised that I beat it so fast. The mission objective pops up and I was like, oh, what, that's it? Like, it's only been like 15 minutes, I'm already through, and so we got some firefights going, but see, there's tanks. The NPCs are rolling big, huge, heavy tanks through, and they're able to defend themselves with a few of my units, just to kind of stabilize things and hold it interim. There's nothing the NPCs can really do. So wave after wave, it's not a very hard map. I think I've played this map where I've been confused as to what I exactly needed to do. I've gone in, and this is actually something fun if you'd like to just mess around. I mean, the mission is timed for 30 minutes, but I've gone in and just taken Delta here in the middle and reinforced it like crazy with tons of tanks and things up on top of the mountain and recon so that they can see. And I'll just sit and fight wave after wave, and they bring everything in and try and destroy me. And I don't know. It was a fun mess up, I guess. I didn't really understand the concept of the map, but this is not an easy map. If you just go for the objectives, ignore everything else, don't worry about getting points or getting more command points for reinforcing things. Just take these little nodes along along the road, and you're good to go. So yeah, not a hard map if you just go for the objectives. If you get distracted trying to fortify or hold a particular position, you're going to get bogged down. The NPCs are going to start rolling in tanks faster than you can defend yourself, and you're going to be completely out of position and not able to finish your objectives. So as you can see, I don't stop here, but I think we're about halfway to the objective of 50. Oh, we're only at 14. So we're at 14 troops or vehicles through. We need a total of 50. Kind of a large offensive here coming up. There's a ton of tanks on the other side of this hill. Routes both of the. I only had a few tanks up in the weeds there, so I just level up get my Cobras level with those tanks on the hill, and classic reinforced pull there. Did you see where the first thing I do is I send in a response unit. So I send in the Cobras, the helicopters. I get a response unit on, and then I quickly pull and reinforce. I know I'm going to need a couple more units after this fight's over, so I pull those 2 infantry, I drop them, and get them, reinforcing, coming in the map. Meanwhile, I can start repositioning units. So it's all about the positioning. This game is all about the positioning. If you've got your units in the right place, then you can just send responders, call some reinforcements in, and then you can just sit and micromanage the battle from there if you need to. So there's some huge attack columns coming in at me, but it's so late in the game, the NPC is so slow that I think we've already got enough the NPC counters already on the road to fulfill our objective to win the mission. So literally their response, the whole fighting of the level, they're so slow, and their tanks are so slow and so behind that they can't even slow us down to winning the mission objective. So yeah, there's definitely enough units on the road already moved out that even if this huge column coming in to attack the starting zone isn't going to do anything. Meanwhile, like I say, I'm still getting, what is this, 2 leopards rolling out of my reinforcements, 2 leopard NPCs. Those things are crazy tough and just can blast them. So yeah, not concerned, not worried. Quickly bring in a bunch of reinforcements as I pulled back my command unit, repositioned him behind the town as this huge amount of tanks comes rolling over the hill. Get those reinforced, and we're at 32 right now, and there's easily another 18 or so units on the road pulling in. So the response is way too late. The game's already over. Just seconds at this point. And I think I pulled off this position anyway, because every 30 seconds I'm getting pulled. How many units is there? 8 units coming in. NPC units that are on my side helping me fighting. It also causes the enemy to rout because they're falling in like that. So yeah, just a quick strike mission, a lot of fun. This is a really fun map to play on. Also, it's a really fun map to mess around if you just play the mission and you don't worry about the objectives. You just go mess around and try and take stuff. It's a lot of fun, a lot of cool terrain, and a really good setup here. So yeah, the last of the column is moving along. I mean, like I said, it's just a quick strike, quick in and out. They've achieved the objectives, and it doesn't matter what kind of positioning my men have because I have so many NPC units in and ready to fight. So, and, like I say, these NPCs, they're not defenseless. They can protect themselves. They shoot back. They're fighting. It works really good. So that's it. That's the end of the mission right there, and it's finished out. So we'll catch you later.